Welcome to our channel. I'm WebGamer, and if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, well, you've come to the right place. Today, we have a spine-chilling treat for you, a collection of tales so unsettling they'll make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. From unexplained noises in the dead of night to encounters that defy all logical explanation, each story is a window into a moment of pure, unadulterated fear. So, dim the lights, get comfortable if you can, get ready to dive into 10 terrifying true horror stories that will keep you up at night. Let's get started. Picture this. A young family moves into a new rental home. They're unpacking boxes, imagining where the couch will go, planning family dinners. The attic, like in many homes, is just a space for storage, maybe a bit dusty, a place you don't think too much about. But then the noises started to become more specific, more intentional. Late at night, they'd hear faint scuffling sounds coming from directly above their master bedroom from the attic. At first they tried to rationalize it. Squirrels maybe? Raccoons? But the noises grew bolder, sometimes sounding like soft footsteps, a dragging sound, or even what they thought might be muffled coughing. One morning the father cautiously pulled down the attic ladder, a flashlight beam cutting through the dusty darkness. What he found made his blood run cold clear, recent footprints in the thick layer of dust. Driven by a desperate need for answers, they set up a hidden camera in the attic. The next morning they retrieved the camera, hands trembling as they plugged it into the laptop. The footage showed a gaunt, disheveled man, silently crawling out from a dark recess, moving with chilling familiarity through their attic. This next story is one of those that just sticks with you, a real chilling account of how grief and the unexplained can intersect in the most unsettling ways. Imagine a young woman, let's call her Sarah. Sarah had a best friend, Emily, someone she'd known practically her whole life. One afternoon, Sarah's phone rings. It's Emily's number. Sarah misses the call. Maybe she's busy, in class, or just away from her phone. She sees the missed call notification later and thinks, oh, I'll call her back. Later that evening, Sarah gets the devastating news. There's been a terrible car accident. Emily didn't make it. Amidst the shock and sorrow, she remembers the missed call from Emily. How could that be? Emily was already gone. She checks her voicemail, a knot of dread tightening in her stomach. And there it is, a new message from Emily. Her heart pounds as she presses play. At first it's mostly static, garbled sounds, the kind of interference you get with a bad connection. But then, as she's about to delete it, she listens closer, straining her ears. Through the crackling static, she hears it, a faint, almost inaudible whisper. It's Emily's voice, weak and desperate, saying just two words, help me. College dorms. They're a rite of passage for many, a place of new freedoms, new friendships, and sometimes, some pretty weird experiences. This story comes from Alex, starting his sophomore year. He had a double room to himself for weeks. Then one day he finds the other side occupied. His new roommate Ben was quiet and reserved. Not in a bad way, just very quiet. They exchanged pleasantries, but Ben was elusive. He'd be there one moment, gone the next. Alex would wake up and Ben would already be gone, his bed neatly made. Other times Ben would be asleep facing the wall. Alex respected his space. Then things got weirder. Ben's items began to disappear. First a textbook, then a t-shirt. Ben's side of the room became barer. Alex asked Ben about it. Ben gave vague answers, eyes never meeting Alex's. This next one taps into that primal fear of being watched, especially in your own home. There's this guy, let's call him Mark. Mark lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood. He started hearing strange noises from his backyard, rustling in the bushes, soft thuds, persistent enough to make him uneasy. So Mark installs a motion-activated CCTV camera. He figured he'd catch a raccoon or a stray cat. The first night he checks the footage, and there, plain as day, is a man. Just standing, staring at his house. Near the tree line, staring directly at the house. And the most unsettling part? The man was smiling. A wide, unnatural, fixed smile. Mark is obviously freaked out. He watches more footage. The man appears again the next night, and the night after that. Always around 3 a.m., always in the same spot, always with that same terrifying, unblinking smile. Mark reinforces his locks, makes sure all the windows are secured. He even calls the police, but without any evidence of a crime being committed. Just a man standing in a yard, which could technically be a neighbor's yard depending on the property line. There wasn't much they could do other than suggest he keep his doors locked and report any actual attempts to enter. One night, after a particularly unnerving feeling that he was being watched even from inside, Mark checks the CCTV footage immediately. His heart nearly stops. The smiling man isn't in the yard this time. There's a certain allure to old houses, isn't there? A sense of history, character. But sometimes that history comes with baggage. A family moved into a beautiful, century-old home. It had charm, original woodwork, they were thrilled. The basement, however, was different. Old, stone-walled, damp, and dimly lit. Their son Leo started acting differently. He became quieter, more withdrawn, spending time near the basement door listening. He said he heard whispers from the basement walls. His parents were concerned but thought it was imagination. Leo talked about a girl in the wall, conversations with an invisible friend. He'd leave toys near a section of the basement. This story is a terrifying reminder that sometimes the monsters are very real and they can get uncomfortably close. It involves a young woman, we'll call her Chloe, living alone in a city apartment. She started noticing a man, not someone she knew, just a face in the crowd that began to appear too often to be a coincidence. She'd see him on her commute home from work, sometimes on the same bus, sometimes just walking a block or two behind her. He never approached, never spoke, just observed. It was subtle at first, easy to dismiss as paranoia, but the repetition became undeniable. Then, the gifts started appearing. Small, disturbing tokens left on her doorstep. The first one was a lock of hair, tied with a dirty string. Chloe was horrified, immediately reported it to her building management and the police. But with no direct threats or clear suspect, there was little they could do beyond advising her to be vigilant. A few days later, another gift, a single discolored human tooth. The feeling of being watched intensified, evolving into a gnawing, constant fear. She started varying her routes home, telling friends her schedule, but the sense of unease was her constant companion. This next account delves into the unsettling territory of memory, identity, and the eerie feeling that something fundamental about your life isn't quite what you've been told. Imagine a young child, let's say around 8 years old, we'll call her Lily. Lily is an only child, or so she believes, so her parents have always told her. One rainy afternoon, she's rummaging through an old box of family photographs in the attic, looking for pictures of herself as a baby, as kids often do. Amongst the faded Polaroids and formal portraits, she finds a peculiar photograph. It shows two little girls, identical, dressed in matching outfits, playing in a garden she vaguely recognizes as her own. One of the girls is clearly her, but who is the other one? They look exactly alike. Twins. Confused, Lily takes the photo downstairs to her parents. "Mom, Dad," she asks, "who's this other girl with me? Is this my cousin?" Her parents exchange a quick, almost imperceptible glance, a flicker of something Lily can't quite name before her mother smiles, a little too brightly, and says, "Oh honey, that must be a friend from preschool. You were an only child, remember?" But Lily knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her bones, that the girl in the photo wasn't just a friend. There was a connection, a familiarity that went beyond a simple childhood acquaintance. There's a certain kind of loneliness that comes with solo travel, but also a sense of freedom. This story is about David, a seasoned traveler needing a place to stay for the night in a small town. He found a cheap, run-down motel with a flickering neon sign. The older man at the front desk handed him a key to room 408. David found it odd for a small motel to have a room number that high. He found his room at the end of a long, poorly lit corridor. The room was basic, a bit musty but clean enough. He noticed a small, worn guest book on the nightstand. Curious, he flipped through it. Most entries were mundane. Nice stay, quiet place, good coffee. But one entry, scrawled in urgent handwriting, caught his eye. It read, "Get out, don't stay in 408, he's still here." A shiver went down David's spine. Later that night, the lights began to flicker erratically. Then, they went out completely, plunging the room into darkness. Antique shops and flea markets, they're treasure troves of forgotten histories, objects with past lives we can only guess at. This story centers on a young woman named Clara who had a passion for vintage finds. One weekend, at a sprawling flea market, she was drawn to an old ornate mirror. It was beautiful, with a heavy carved wooden frame, slightly tarnished silvering giving it an air of mystery. The vendor didn't know much about its history, just that it was very old. Clara bought it, excited to hang it in her apartment. She placed the mirror in her bedroom, admiring how it caught the light. For the first few days everything was normal. But then, she started noticing discrepancies. Small things at first. She'd raise her right hand and for a split second her reflection would seem to raise its left before correcting itself. Or she'd turn her head and the reflection would lag, just a fraction of a second behind. Childhood fears are potent. The monster under the bed, the creature in the closet. For most, these are figments of an active imagination, outgrown with age. But what if they aren't? This story is about a little boy, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Let's call him Sam. Sam became convinced that someone or something was living under his bed. He'd tell his parents every night, his small voice trembling, "There's a man under my bed." His parents, like most would, reassured him, checked under the bed with a flashlight, showed him it was empty and tucked him in. Sam's insistence didn't wane. He started to refuse to sleep in his own room, begging to sleep on his parents' floor. And there you have it. 10 stories designed to burrow into your subconscious and make you think twice about the shadows in the corner of your eye, or that unexplained noise in the middle of the night. From intruders in plain sight to whispers from beyond, these accounts remind us that the world can be a far stranger and sometimes more terrifying place than we often like to admit. Thanks for watching. I'm WebGamer. And if you enjoyed these terrifying tales, and if you're brave enough to want more, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment with your own eerie experiences or which story got to you the most, and definitely subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. We've got plenty more strange, dark, and mysterious content coming your way. Until next time, try to get some rest. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep.